Assalamualaikum and hello. Okay, so my name is Mardiana Nisha Saini. My metric card number BP18110103, and I am a TESOL student, second year TESOL student at University Malaysia Sabah. So for today, I'm making this video to do a task given in the understanding poetry, reading poetry 1. So in the slides, based on our subject literature, we were given a poetry, and we need to read it, give our first and second impressions, the name of the poetry, the context. We need to analyze the given poetry and the title that we choose for the poetry and why. Okay, so I will explain my first impressions while during I read the poetry. So basically, for the first time I read the poetry, I thought that the poetry is about heartbreaking, broken up, and feel alone. Because if you read the poetry yourself, you can say that the writer wrote the poetry as he wants to claim that they are already apart. He and his partner were not together anymore. Okay, that is my first impressions when I read it. And for the second time I read the poetry, it just gave me some understandings about loving yourself. Yes, as when you read for the first stanza and the second stanza, the writer told that even though for the first stanza they are breaking up, the second stanza, you love me and I find you still, even though they are not together, the feelings for both of them are still the same. But when you read on the third stanza, this is basically on my understanding, even though the feelings is still there, but both of them face the reality. They are accepting their fate, that they were not meant to be together. So for my second impressions of reading the poetry, love yourself. Okay, there is a difference between my first impressions and my second impressions, where my first impressions, it is about heartbreaking, and my second impressions, it is about loving yourself as the writer, as for the writers. So for the number 2, the name of the poetry, the context, and analysis the given poetry is that the poetry is all about love. The theme is love. Yeah, love between two people that are separated. Okay, so analyzing the poetry, it has 3 stanzas, which every of the stanzas contains 4 lines. The rhyme of the poetry is a free verse because it is not attached. The end of the word, the end of the sentence in each line were not attached to each other's line. So it is a free verse. Okay, the next one, in this poetry, it doesn't contain any sounds or any images. Okay, for the last one, the analysis for the poetry, figurative language. Okay, this poetry use 5 that I already search for it. No, I'm not search that that I identified in this poetry. Okay, for the first one, figurative language that been used in the poetry is in the first stanza, line 3 and 4, which was the writer used simile. Okay, lost as a candle lit at noon, lost as a snowflake in the sea. So the simile is being used. There will be words like or as to make a comparisons. Okay, for the line 3, lost as a candle lit at noon. It told you that the writer is lost, and he make a comparison. He lost like a candle lit at noon. Yes, there is the comparison. He exclaiming himself like this is similar to like this. That is simile. And for the second figurative language is a metaphor. Metaphor is a comparison in comparisons about human, a comparison about human instead directly stating it. It is like we are differentiating between concrete and abstract thing. So metaphor is being used in the second stanza. um, Line 2, a spirit beautiful and bright. You can see beautiful and bright. You know what it is, but you cannot see a spirit. How could you determine a spirit is a beautiful and bright? So the writers use a metaphor in expressing his feelings. Okay, the third figurative language that been used in this poetry is a hyperbole. Okay, what is a hyperbole? Hyperbole is the writer is using an extreme exaggerations to um to write. Yes, as for it, it include in stanza 3, line 2, which stated, "My senses leave me deaf and blind." My senses leave me deaf and blind. Wow, what an extreme exaggeration. The writers use bombastic word that you cannot expect, like how the senses is leaving you deaf and blind. Yes, so hyperbole is used in stanza 3, line 2, where the writer is using an extreme exaggerations. Okay, for the two last of figurative languages, alliterations and assonance. Alliterations and assonance is being used as repetitions in consonant and vowels. So no need to explain that. I'm going to the last task, which is the title you use and why. So basically, overall of reading this poetry, I'm came out with a title, Infinity Lover. Okay, why I choose the title Infinity Lover? Okay, we focus on the word infinity. Infinity is refers to something that boundless or endless, larger than any real without end. So as I already explained before, my first and second impressions, even though the writers and his partners are not together anymore, they are being apart, but both of them still love each other, and they are facing the truth, accepting the truth, even though they are not together. As long as you love someone, you can love them by yourself. So Infinity Lover, I choose the title Infinity Lover to explain that you can love someone infinitely. Yes, infinitely. Even though the world is being apart, if you still love someone, you cannot hide your feeling. That's why I named the poetry is Infinity Lover. They are being apart, but they still love each other, but also they are accepting their fate. So that's all from me. I have already understand the poetry, yes, and to be honest, it is so difficult because yes, it is an English poetry. You cannot if you don't understand it clearly, then you will not get the message that the writers want to tell you. So that's all from me. Thank you.